Hello, Caroline here. So I'm gonna be walking you guys through how I finish my berry bowls. I don't have any video of me throwing them, but it'll start with trimming them and then putting the holes in and cleaning them up. Uh, yeah, so this is me trimming aerial view, then my frizzy top of my head. So you can see I am using a Giffen grip on the wheel. It's a trimming kind of accessory to help hold the piece in place while you trim it. There's a lot of other techniques for trimming as well. This is just the one that I prefer. It's nice because you can take it out, the piece out, feel it, feel how thick, stuff is, and then put it back in pretty easily. I do mark my piece though, before I take it out the first time, where those little black, I don't even know, grip things are, the black and blue things. I mark where that is so I can put it back in the Giffen grip in the same spot every single time, so that the center stays the same, because if you didn't know, my pieces are not perfect. They're not completely round always, so that's just a tip if you use a Giffen grip. So yeah, so I'm touching the foot of the piece, so that bottom part that I just trimmed away, that's called the foot of the piece. So basically when I'm trimming the berry bowls, I'm trimming the underside of the bowl as well as the foot, two kind of separate things. So you can kind of see it's like, here's the rounded bowl part, and then here's the foot that's almost like attached on. But instead of attaching something separately, I'm just trimming away to reveal it. So yeah, so it obviously passed inspection of me taking it out, and now I'm just using a sponge to clean it up, and then I use a really soft rubber rib to really compress that foot. So yeah, so look at that beautiful spiraling trimming. Yeah, that just means that the pottery is at the right dryness for trimming, which is good. Because I was kind of on a time crunch here. I had to get it done that night. This is like at 10:30 at night too. So yeah, so I'm trimming the underside of the bowl there, and really like digging into that foot to get that dramatic angle. So I want to get the underside of the bowl done first before I start working on the like top part of the foot or the bottom part of the foot. It's weird because the bowl is in, upside down right now. So what's top is really bottom, but you get what I mean. So so on my Giffen grip, because it's higher up, working area than if you were just trimming, if you put it on the head of the wheel and was just trimming there. Usually the splash pan will catch a lot of your trimmings, but because I'm working so high up, the trimmings tend to like to fly everywhere. So I have that yellow plastic clay shield up just to help kind of catch those, and then I use a towel kind of tucked into the splash pan as well and on my lap, and that helps catch clay trimmings as well. So yeah, so this is kind of a crazy foot that I am doing. I don't always do stuff like this. It's a little dramatic, and getting like that angle right and everything is kind of crazy, but it just seemed to make sense when I first started making the berry bowls. Just because, it's going to be a strainer, it's going to hold water and whatnot. So having it kind of elevated off the ground a lot, off the table, I guess, makes sense, but I don't know. This might be the last time I do these foots. It's a lot, but it's not too bad trimming, really. I've done it enough now, but yeah, it's a lot of taking it off the Giffen grip, feeling that right there. I was just feeling the thickness of the foot itself, making sure that I wasn't leaving it too chunky, but you also don't want to get it too thin, because, people setting it on their counter could break it more easily then. But I'm also notorious for leaving that little bottom inside part that I'm trimming right now too thick, and then I realize it when I punch the holes in it that it was too thick. And but once you put a hole in it, you can't really go back and trim it, so it's too bad. But yep, so yeah, past inspection. I didn't even check it. I must have just been like, yep, good enough. But yep, so now I'm at the table. I'm using a banding wheel, and then I'm using this little like pen tool thing. I'll show a photo here. It's just got like a little ball on the end, but it's great for marking stuff lightly. I'm also checking to make sure that the foot is actually in the center, because that's really what's going to matter for getting this right. So yeah, so I'm just marking my lines for where the holes are going to go. I have basically the center point and then 3 rows. And then I'm using the banding wheel, those lines on the banding wheel that run, there's 3 of them that run kind of crisscross. I'm using those as guides, because I'm going to do 6 on that inner part, and then, what is it, like 12 or something on the outside? I don't know. But right now I'm just having all of those, which is very easy to do. Humans are pretty good at like looking at something and being able to have it, at least with some practice. So, just eyeballing it. I'm not really measuring anything right now. I'm just using the dots that are already there as guides, basically, and just lightly pressing in. So yeah, here's the next one, the start of it. But yeah, just checking to make sure that foot's in the center. This banding wheel is really nice. It's super heavy, so it just holds momentum and spins. But yeah, there's a photo of the dots and the lines. So yeah, now I'm just punching them in. I'm using this hole punch tool that's kind of just sharp. The trick with the tool, though, is you can't just press down. You kind of got to spin at the same time to cut it. So yeah, you can see. So like the edge is where it's sharp. But yeah. And the clay right now is probably just like slightly on the wet side of what I would prefer for doing this. Yeah, again, I was just on a time crunch. I had to get these done. But it worked. It just, not 100% ideal for it. Having them be a little more leather hard. That's what potters term, this kind of stage in the pottery. It's wet enough that you can work with it, but it's dry enough that it holds its form, type of deal. And just having it a little drier would just give you a little bit cleaner of a cut, as you'll see as I clean it up. But yeah, also all these videos are sped up a little bit, just because otherwise it would be super long and boring. But yeah, so they are sped up. And this one's like super sped up because all I'm doing is sponging, cleaning up those lines that I did with the pen tool. I don't have to get them like perfectly gone, but just enough that they're not like super obvious, because the glaze will, it kind of covers up small imperfections and whatnot. And then on the inside, this is where I have to do a lot of sponging, because as I'm pushing that hole puncher through, it's pushing excess clay to the inside. And if I did it from the inside out, it would do the same thing, so it doesn't really matter. But there's that, little bit of excess clay. So I'm just sponging that kind of flat, and then I'm going to use this paintbrush. Basically, I wet it, stick it inside the hole, and like swirl it around to push the excess clay back out again that I just kind of like sponged over as best as I could, but some of it goes kind of back in the hole. And I don't want that edge of the hole to be like super sharp. You want it, it's almost like I'm countersinking, if anyone gets what that means. I'm countersinking the hole just to round it over. But there's the paintbrush that I'm using. I obviously cut some of the hairs away to make it a certain size, but it works perfect for this. But yeah, just countersinking the holes with a paintbrush. But yeah, and then right there, yeah, I put my stamp on there. So yeah, I'm gonna do the next one. With paintbrushes though, you really want to take care of them. I've had that paintbrush for like, I don't even know, like 9 years now or something. It was probably one of the first paintbrushes I bought in college. But I just, clean them when I'm done and put with soap. And then I put a little soap on them and leave it on them when I store them. And the soap dries and like helps hold the form of the paintbrush so that it's in a point. So you're kind of helping to guide the hairs of the brush so that they, stay where you want them. But this is also an opportunity for me. I was cleaning up the lip of the rim there. It kind of, sometimes gets cruddy when I'm, trimming and whatnot. So I can just use the sponge to soften everything. If you have a really sharp edge, like either on the lip of the form or those holes that I punched, if it's super crisp, it's gonna be less likely to hold glaze. Glaze does not want to stick to a sharp edge like that. So that's another reason why I'm really trying to round these edges over with the paintbrush. But it's also just once it's glazed, if there's like something that's sharp, it can cut you. So it's not no fun. So that's why I'm spending so much time, really cleaning these up. But yeah, there's an example of a finished one. This was from a earlier batch, so they'll look a little different this time around. But yeah,